Okay, I can't be alone in how I feel about this episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations, or I guess you would say Sasuke Retsuden, episode 283, because fam, oh fam. See, a lot of people give me a little bit of a bad rep, so to speak, when it comes to Boruto as of late, because I've had, some criticisms regarding the franchise, regarding the series, where it's at right now, where it's been, where it came from, and where it's going. Like, flat out, I've been, giving my honest and thorough opinion through and through about what's happening. But if I can give criticism and I could say, hey, it's been, a little slacking, so to speak, I can also come and give praise when I feel it is justified. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell to get more. I talk about Boruto, Naruto, and everything in the world of anime and manga. You don't want to miss it. Hit them buttons. Y'all already know, in case you don't. I've been a little bit critical regarding the adaptation of the Sasuke Retsuden manga into the anime, at the very least with the first episode, because if you didn't follow some of my reviews of some of the earlier chapters of Sasuke Retsuden, that was freaking fire. Like, the manga is just awesome, and it feels like one of the things that, this is what a lot of Naruto fans would want. Obviously, if you're watching Boruto, you're not getting the same experience as OG Naruto, but when you go to Sasuke Retsuden, it was like, this is actually the Naruto series that I've been wanting, that I've been waiting for, because it continues on with the previous cast. Again, this isn't to slight the Boruto era, but it is nice to get a spotlight and revisit some of these characters, and even Sakura, because I gotta talk about the Sakura, I guess you would say, hate train, love train, I don't know what you would call it at this particular point, because early on, when it came to Sakura as a character in early Naruto, it's been a common thing that a lot of people were not fans of how her character was handled, especially in part 1. You could throw the argument that with Sakura, her character slowly but surely progressed throughout each iteration of the series, of the franchise, because in part 1, it was a common thing that a lot of people were not all gung-ho about, the way she's moving, she didn't really lend helping hands in a lot of battles that was like significant. Obviously, there was the one where they fought the sound ninja, and she had to cut her hair, so to speak, to get away, and it was also symbolic of cutting your hair is, entering maturity, because apparently that's like a part of Japanese culture, that cutting your hair symbolizes that you've grown up, you're mature now. But nevertheless, part 1 Sakura, like, the alter ego thing in the back was kind of okay, it was funny or whatnot, but I wasn't really that fond or that excited about Sakura with part 1. Then you get to Shippuden, and she had a couple of decent moments. In particular, her standout moment, bar none, was the fight between her with Granny Chiyo versus Sasori. That battle right there, hands down, bar none, was her best, or one of her best moments in the entirety of Shippuden, because you saw her put in work. Obviously, yeah, it was a little bit of assist from Granny Chiyo with the puppet strings, but nevertheless, that was where you started to see, okay, Masashi Kishimoto was actually starting to develop this character even more so. Her training with Tsunade, which I love the fact that that was referenced in the latest Sasuke Retsuden episode. I guess you could call it Sasuke Retsuden episode 2 or Boruto episode 1,500,000,000, whatever you want to call it. But Sakura's character, even towards the end of Shippuden, when she got in the battle and she was helping Naruto and Sasuke against Madara, a lot of fans still were very critical of, like, wow, that's one hell of a power-up, Like, the diamond on her head automatically puts her in place to be on the level with these gods. But nevertheless, that was Kishimoto attempting yet again to make sure that Sakura isn't forgotten and give her, I guess, a little bit of development. But it was still, like, dicey. A lot of fans were like, here and there, because you compare all of the moments that Kishimoto wrote for Naruto, all of the moments that he wrote for Sasuke, and a lot of the other characters in this verse, and then when you got to Sakura, it was like, a little bit lacking, so to speak. But everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. No, I'm just playing. When we got to Boruto, at the very least, I could speak for myself personally that ever since Boruto, something just changed and ignited, whereas like Sakura's character through and through just became very much so likable, and at the same time, she didn't lose that badassery that she had of when she has to throw down. Going back to like the Shin Uchiha stuff where she beat the living tar out of him, it was like, okay. And seeing her relationship with Sarada, being a mother to Sarada, that was really awesome. It's almost as if it took Kishimoto getting her to becoming a full-blown woman to be like, okay, I know how to write this because she's a great mother. And then on top of that, you add the extra layer of not only is she taking care of her daughter pretty much by herself, but she don't really get to see her husband that often. The dynamics between Sakura and Sasuke have felt a little bit like, man, it kind of sucks that she has to be all alone while Sasuke travels the world, doing all these missions, which is understandable. He's trying to protect the village and his family. But nevertheless, you see that, again, she was a strong woman that was holding her own, despite the fact that her husband wasn't there. So it feels like with Boruto on, Sakura opposed to any other character. You could argue that, yo, Naruto's nerfed, Sasuke's nerfed, Boruto, etc., etc. You can say whatever you want, but I would throw the argument that the character that grew the most and had the best possible, I guess you would say, reintroduction to the franchise was Sakura post Boruto. And Sasuke Retsuden episode 2, man, oh man, it's crazy because I actually, while I have my problems with it as well, like animation wise at times it wasn't the most grandiose, it feels like having that dynamic of Sasuke and Sakura working together, and of course getting the voice actors, you know, it just felt perfect, damn near. Like, it felt amazing to see these two, because Sasuke is obviously on this quest and he's in a prison, and for Sakura to show up there like, nah, I'm gonna hold my mans down. It was great, honestly. It feels like this is another testament to the fact that Sakura as a character, you could have said something maybe about her in part 1 of Naruto. Kishimoto didn't develop her as much as he should have. You could have said the same thing a little less maybe with Shippuden, because she had some moments, but it was few and far between. With Boruto, every time Sakura does something, it's pretty freaking awesome, because again, it's a level of maturity that you've seen with Sakura, that she is no longer like, you know, trying to catch up to the boys, so to speak. She's a mother, she fully accepts it. She's a wife, fully accepts that, and she's doing her thing. And this episode, man, oh man, once again, animation, like when Sasuke went up against the dinosaur, it was like, probably maybe a little bit better. I feel like the animation even was a slight bit better with this episode. But art, because there's two different things. Animation and art aren't synonymous. Animation is the movement of the picture, the art is the quality and what it looks like. And oh my gosh, if you watched the episode, then you know what I'm about to talk about, because one of the big things about Sasuke and Sakura as it stands in Boruto right now is their marriage. Their marriage is very unconventional. Again, like I said, Sakura always alone, Sasuke traveling everywhere. But the fact that that guy is a Gigi, I forget what his name was, but the dude in the prison with the blonde hair that is, you know, part of this whole thing with Sasuke or whatnot, or at the very least he's Bunky, him talking about his fiance and his ideals of a wife and a husband and how they're always supposed to be together, and the fact that he loves that Sakura, even though she lied, but pretty much came because she couldn't be without her husband and she wanted to be next to him. It was interesting to see Sasuke's reaction to that, because again, Sasuke's emotions when it comes to Sakura, a lot of people have said, well geez, it's been very toxic. I mean, do we remember what happened when Naruto got poisoned saving Sakura against him? Like, homie was all over the place. So you get to Boruto, you get to see that they have a family now. Well, how does he react to these situations? How would Sasuke react to the fact that, yo, people are looking at your wife, and because she don't have this ring, even though I still feel like it takes a wedding ring, you know what I'm saying? Little different story for that, but either way, he's there like, okay, this is his reaction to it. Sasuke loves her. Sasuke really does care. He don't want people thinking that his wife is a single woman, so to speak. So when we finally get to that breakdown moment where Sasuke is like asking Sakura like, yo, it don't bother you that I'm not around and stuff like that, that was amazing. That was character development, probably more so than we've seen damn near all of Boruto for Sasuke as well. Actually seeing him realizing, man, I need to treat my wife better. Man, I should probably be a little bit more attentive to my wife's feelings, thoughts. What is she going through right now? Because again, you go early Boruto, you go to the Sarada Gaiden stuff, this man was so long away from his home that he didn't even recognize his own freaking daughter. So you fast forward now, he started to rebuild his relationship with his daughter. Then on top of that, we got this whole thing where he's looking like, no, I gotta show my wife what I feel. And that was honestly, for a character and for a relationship that has been under heavy scrutiny since 1999, seeing Sasuke come all of this way to understanding, yeah, let me do my thing now. I'm a man, I'm a husband, I'm a father, let me do my thing. Absolutely bravo. The scene was beautifully done with that kind of little blue tint on top of it when Sasuke's giving her the wedding band and whatnot. It was just amazing, dog. It's kind of a little bit bizarre that all of this romantic and awesome character development is happening in the midst of a prison arc inside of a prison, but YOLO. And while all of that great character development was in there as well, the references going back to OG Naruto where Sakura's like, yeah, my sensei taught me how to gamble, and Sasuke's like, wait a minute, isn't Tsunade like terrible at gambling? That made me lol. I'm not gonna lie. It takes you back to the search for a Tsunade arc like, oh snap, it has way more value than I thought. And another element, yes people, another element. I told you, I came into this one, if I can give criticism in a negative fashion, I could give positive criticism. Seeing that Sakura is so freaking at the point of being able to remember things. Like the way she was able to finesse that card game, that she looked at the cards and memorized every card that had all the tears around it or whatnot. Granted, it kind of comes across a little bit like, wow, talk about photographic memory, huh? But that was also adding to the elements of Sakura, be one hell of a person to bring on an adventure if you feel like you might get lost or you need help. Like, she has just come in so many different ways to a point of like, this is the character that, man, it probably took her getting to this point to have all of that happen, but it was beautifully done. It's like Boruto, in a weird and strange way, honestly been the most beneficial to, of the previous gen at the very least, Sakura. And I gotta commend it, because a lot of people give Kishimoto a lot of slack and a lot of anger, so to speak, because they've said, and I believe he's even admitted, that he's not the best at writing female characters. Again, Sakura didn't have all this character development that Naruto got throughout Naruto, that Sasuke and Naruto got throughout Shippuden. She didn't get that. Boruto this time around, because of course it's not only Kishimoto, it looks like they've really sat down and said, let's make it happen for her. Her kicking butt in that freaking little gambling game was crazy. And then even the lore, you add another layer on top of that with the whole Sage of Six Paths stuff, because again, let's not forget and get too far away from the fact that we're in this freaking prison arc because Naruto is sick and dying. Like, we gotta handle this. So them getting access to those books and finding out about how the Sage of Six Paths was able to heal himself of the same ailment that Naruto is suffering from with this whole ultra particles thing is definitely interesting as well, because this is not only, even though this is, you know, based on like a side novel and technically this is a flashback or whatnot, this is going into the overall arcing, you know, story that, hey, the Otsutsuki, hey, the moon, don't forget Kaguya is still sealed up in that moon. And then you got that, basically the way that the Sage of Six Paths was able to heal himself was, you know, separated. It looked like the moon broke in half, and that's where the ultra particles came from. Like, that is an interesting concept that they've introduced as well, and again adds to the overall grandiose lore of things. This is why even further it cements like stuff like this is important and definitely should have probably been adapted into the Boruto anime a couple years ago when the novel dropped. Like, they should have did novel, manga, anime like within the same 2 years or something like that. Like, this is very good quality content that, by golly, I wish it would have been carried over more. I wish this would have been straight up from either the manga itself, obviously again it has its own manga, but I'm talking about canonical to the Boruto manga, because it feels just like some of these concepts could so be utilized for, you know, whether it be how do we heal the karma out of Boruto and Kawaki, like these ultra particle things. I'm hoping that the manga takes a little note, you know, the canon manga Boruto, and says, you know what, Sasuke Retsuden introduced a very interesting concept. It connects with everything we got going on with the Otsutsuki and Nishiki and all of that stuff. Let's bring that in there. Like, who knows, the ultra particles could be the key to taking down Code and the remnants of, you know, Kara and everything that they're facing. In terms of the main villain, Zanzu, for the most part so far, he doesn't seem like the most credible threat. Like, mind you, Sasuke still got both of his eyes because this predates the Ishiki Otsutsuki arc, so Sasuke is still technically a lot stronger than he is right now. I don't see, even without using, you know, genjutsu to put Zanzu under a spell, so to speak, so that he can't do anything, I think still Sasuke will mop the floor with homie. Like, I just gotta keep it a buck. This is Sasuke Renegon in, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he may got one arm, but he's still all the way there. I don't feel like Zanzu, as it stands right now, is the biggest threat, because it also feels like with Sasuke and Sakura standing together, they could freaking blow that whole prison to smithereens if they really wanted to, because they're pretty freaking strong. I mean, a Susanoo and Sakura going wild, who knows what the hell would happen to that whole place. And a forgotten element that really doesn't get referenced that much in Boruto, that Sasuke Retsuden yet again came to save the day and show some awesome stuff, was the whole idea of the tailed beasts were a part of that whole remedy of how the Sage of Six Paths was able to heal himself. I'm kind of wondering if there's a possibility, and I don't quite remember exactly the details of how the tailed beast came to be, of, you know, Hagoromo and what he did or whatnot, but I wonder if the existence of the tailed beast all along was put together and crafted because of Hagoromo's illness. There was clearly a book there, and you see that that's what led to the ultra particles thing with Tatar, the guy that was assisting Hagoromo on his quest to, you know, heal himself or whatnot. It seems like the tailed beast was very important to that whole thing, which again, that's why this story has to be a flashback, because as it stands right now, if this was current timeline, we'd be screwed because there's no Kurama at the moment. Granted, another lost element is that he's supposed to be revived survived. You know, the tail beasts, they may die, but they always come back after a certain point. But yeah, how would he have gone about healing himself if this was current day? So nicely done that they made sure to flash this back, so that way there's no, you know, continuity issues of dog. How are we gonna do this thing? There's no Kurama at the moment. We don't know what the hell is gonna happen with him in the future. Although I'm still calling it time skip. Kurama returns. Himawari. Let's go! Honestly, I'm so happy to say that it looks like with 2023, the Boruto Naruto Next Generations anime with adapting Sasuke Retsuden, and again in February starting the Code arc, it looks like we're headed back in the positive direction that we was in like 2021 with the Ishiki Osutsuki stuff, because now we're getting to the nitty gritty. We're getting a lot of these story elements, and honestly this episode was not necessarily perfect, but considering, it was probably my favorite episode of like the last year of Boruto, if not more, because it was that damn good. So I could give negative criticism, I'm gonna give positive and say that Sasuke Retsuden episode 2 or Boruto episode 283, it was freaking awesome and I loved it, and I hope we get more of this. If, you know, we got to get more novel adaptations down the road, then so be it, because while it may not be perfect animation wise, aesthetically, even the music was good. I really enjoyed some of the cues in this one, and I know I kind of slipped up and said last week, oh, the music wasn't, you know, it was the same filler music when it was original cues. I'm human, I mess up. But the music in this one was definitely fitting, especially, again, I gotta stress that scene, Sasuke, Sakura, nicely done. But I'm very curious what you guys think. If you're following right now the Boruto anime for the Sasuke Retsuden adaptation, how did you feel about that scene? Does it give you that overall urge yet again of like, oh, this is what we could have had, this is what we should have had, maybe we'll have it one day? And your overall thoughts and expectations for the future of the Sasuke Retsuden anime. I've actually put my reading of the Sasuke Retsuden manga on hold, that way it's a little bit more of a fresh experience here. So that's for this one. I'm Forever World, and as always, people, have an awesome day. Subscribe and hit that bell to get more. Yeah.
Lights be flashing and looking at me, such a odd unique, yet I'm so unique and you're looking at me. If the walls could talk, they would probably read bleak, and I'd probably say, bitch, get the fuck off me.